today. It's another crazy day for your semiconductors. Sox is ripping on the back of MU and Marvell primarily. Those two names are just pushing to the upside here. Looking across the board, we got quite a bit of action today, so I'm expecting a pretty volatile tape. You got the metals, gold and silver getting absolutely slammed here. Interestingly enough, this is happening on the back when crude oil is weak and the dollar's weak. So very, very peculiar price action there. The fact that the metals are selling off pretty sharply. You also got BTC continuing to see some sell side pressure. This looks nasty, this chart. Coinbase is probably a big fat short today. Hood is probably a big fat short today as well. Primarily, the main things that are rallying today is your semiconductors SOXX. Right now, gapping up yet again, just going absolutely bananas. But you got Apple that is struggling on the session. You got Google that is getting clobbered in the pre-market. Microsoft is obviously down on the back of software earnings from Zscaler. Zscaler just dropping like a rock, hurting IGV. So once again, you're seeing rotation out of your software back into semiconductors. The trade is crowded beyond belief, in my opinion. Tesla showing some strength, looking pretty solid on the overall chart. You do have financials showing a bit of mixed price action today. JP Morgan is down on the session. That's something that you got to watch for. XLF seeing a little bit of sell side pressure. Energy, of course, under pressure. China is also under pressure this morning. PDD did report earnings. Stock is gapping down. That's putting some negative bias on BABA, TME, XPEB, pretty much the whole China complex. All right. A couple other things that we're seeing. Nokia is coming in as well. This is showing a bit of divergence from your semiconductors that's been typically running with your semis, and it's not showing. A couple bright spots in the market as well. Consumer discretionary, Lululemon catching a nice bounce, gapping up about $5 on the session. Nike as well, showing a little bit of strength. So consumer discretionary is still trying to move. Home Depot continuing to try to rally off of those lows. Even though semiconductors are up over 3%, stocks, AMD struggling a little bit, lagging. Intel also struggling a touch. Today we are seeing natural gas, guys, making a nice push to the top side. And that gas is up about 1.86%, defending that 20-day moving average for the time being. I like it. I am long natural gas as of yesterday. We are seeing space stocks continuing. Rocket Labs having yet again another blow-off move up to 151 right now in the pre-market. You look at across the board, ASTS into that parallel channel resistance again, a little bit extended on the chart, but tough one to short. SATL saw a nasty reversal yesterday and getting a continuation. So I would not be surprised if some of these space stocks come in with the market. What else we got going on here? Uranium's down. IREN shaking and moving. Western Digital, the usuals. SoFi is continuing. Nice that we took some profits in Alcoa yesterday. AA, which has been strong. Our long position printed a nice 87%. That is seeing a little bit of a dip down. Aluminum still looks okay. Actually, I haven't looked at the aluminum chart today. Yeah, it's coming in pretty sharply, down 0.93%. It's probably going to get a dip by at some point, but commodities across the board are showing quite a bit of weakness, minus natural gas. That's very interesting. We do have a little bit of economic data today. We got the 5-year note at 1 p.m. That's pretty much the main thing. Bath and Body Works seeing some buy-side pressure, monolithic power, toast. Interestingly enough, TOST, software play, showing a little bit of strength here. Interesting. MGM, still showing some strength. BVWI, Bath Body Works, okay. Man, that Zscaler's getting slapped. Sentinel-1 is down. Software play. Okta getting slapped here. Another software play. Under a little bit of pressure. GFS, Global Foundries, eh? Big pullback today. Let's look at our consumer staples. Walmart got slapped around yesterday. Wouldn't be surprised to see Walmart catch a bid today, especially if we get a rotation out of some of the tech stocks like software seeing today. Wouldn't be surprised to see Walmart catch a bid into a little bit of a double bottom support. I was looking at along around 117-ish area. Let's look at Costco. Costco also getting a nice pullback here. A lot of support though. Previous pivot high, consolidation. Another one I wouldn't be surprised to see a bid. Marvell does have earnings after hours. Stock already has gone parabolic. We'll see if it gets another gap up. Pretty big weighting in the SOX ETF itself. We also have CRM. A whole bunch of software names, guys, are reporting. CRM is trying to go green here. Good morning, YS. We got Snowflake after hours as well. SNOW reports. So the software complex is due for quite a bit of action after hours. SNPS also seeing a little bit of strength. Very, very tricky area here. You're into the high pivot here, top of the range. If this gets rejected off its earnings, it's going back down to the low range, but everyone's eyeing up that gap fill, 603. So we'll see what happens there. HPQ also reports after hours. A couple other morning reporters, Abercrombie and Fitch, ANF, seeing some strength, and this is lifting the whole consumer discretionary complex. That's why you're seeing Nike, Lulu. Let's look at Dick's Sporting Goods, also seeing reporting here. Dick's looks like it was very close to breaking out, and it is basically under a touch of pressure. Let's look at Gorilla Technologies. Yeah, stock is under a minor bit of pressure in the pre-market. Okay. Couple other Canadian banking stocks reporting. Bank of Nova Scotia, BMO, they haven't really released yet. BMO under a little bit of pressure. Bank stocks in Canada have been resilient. Nvidia has rolled over. So all mags right now are negative in the pre-market except for Tesla. All mags are red except for Tesla. These commodities are selling. Gold and silver getting smoked. Yeah, Nvidia is slightly red again. Nvidia has triggered that head and shoulders, right? We look at that hourly pattern, and Nvidia has lagged quite a bit. So Nvidia has that clear head and shoulders on the hourly, well below the neckline, and you're actually still underneath that earnings low. So earnings low is also another bearish key level. Nvidia is currently under it, been trading for a few hours below it. But if this plays out, Nvidia should head down to about 200 bucks. There's a gap. There's a big gap fill around 196. That would be ideal. But Micron, man, Micron is just ridiculous right now. Like, look at that. Fucking big gap up. Wouldn't be another. We're in this parabolic phase in semis that it's not a bad idea to continue to take some lotto downside puts, but wow, crazy. Markets charging for new all-time highs yet again. Crude oil down 3.92%. But natural gas is trying to make a little bit of a push. Don't sleep on natural gas, guys. That might be a potential big low that it just made. If it holds this 20-day, I think we're nat gas is off to the races and going to charge higher. So I just started a position yesterday. We obviously held Boyle for a nice win, but I started a swing position in nat gas. So if nat gas holds that basically that $3 level, it's probably going all the way up to 350. Semiconductors have pulled in from their highs quite a bit. So again, a bunch of the crypto stocks look fat like fat shorts, guys. Mara, MSTR, Hood and Coin look really weak. Nokia, big fat short as well. Anyone swinging any CRM or Snowflake software? You buying the dip in software today, or what's happening? All right, guys, markets are open sesame. The big sell in Nvidia, Intel, AMD, Micron starting to come in a little bit. Tesla's ripping, Apple's green, Amazon's green. It's gonna be tough for SPY to hold steady if these semis start to come in, but AMD is still getting a big buy program. Right now, SPY is weaker than the Qs. All indices are still green after dipping there. IWM is lagging a little bit. Nvidia really draining here, guys. Markets are under a little bit of pressure. Marvell has been faded off the highs. AMD still holding steady. Micron coming in. Nice push up on natural gas today. Still got all three indices green. Nvidia draining hard here, guys. Nvidia draining. Intel's rolled over. Nice decline on Nokia today. It's down 3%. Staples are going green. Names like McDonald's are seeing some strength. Constellation Brands. Nike still having a great day. Nvidia just absolutely melting here. Micron getting a big buy program. You got quantum stocks under pressure as well. SPY is looking heavy. Google, Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, all down. Intel's falling. AMD still green. Micron still green. Tesla still green. Apple ripping. Apple to Apple looking strong. Silver, gold still weak. Bitcoin still weak. SoFi's up 1%. Good to see. Micron still up about 5. Snapchat seeing some strength. Interesting. A little bit of pockets of strength in your software, guys. Microsoft could make a bit of a comeback here. IGV's trying to get a little bit of a buy program. Still stuck under the 7-day moving average, so you want to see it reclaim that. Microsoft getting a nice little dip buy here. Marvell's almost going negative. Crude oil still remains pretty soft. QQQ still leading all three indices. IWM in second place, SPY's lagging. Nvidia trying to bounce off of its gap fill. So Nvidia did fill its downside gap. UNH having a nice move. It's looking pretty good. Intel looking heavy. Straight selling your semis. Interestingly enough, it's amazing to see the indices still holding steady, even though semis are coming in hard here. They're still green, 0.75 on stocks, but coming in. Intel getting rocked this morning. That's down 2.9. Nokia guys getting rocked. That's down 4.68%. Micron looking heavy still. AMD still trying to hold its pre-market low. Software still trying to bounce a little bit, but down 0.99%. Semis are draining here. Micron looking heavy. So staples are catching a bit of a bid. There is a good chance that SPY could lead the Qs today if these semis really start to drain. Looking like a nasty sell program on your semis. Look at that. That's dirty. There's going to be a bounce, but we'll see what happens. Look at the drop on Nokia this morning, guys. Our puts are are printing quite nicely. I think there's definitely more. Software still trying to catch a bid. Micron almost having a tombstone reversal with this SOXX. Still seeing consumer discretionary acting quite well for the time being. Lululemon, Nike, Home Depot still showing their strength. Tesla, Meta, Amazon still green. Apple, Google green. So a bit of rotation today out of your semis. ServiceNow having a good session. Marvell is rolled over as well. SoFi starting to shake and move this morning. Micron still is green. Has not given up the full move yet. A lot of these blow-off moves like Rocket Labs, the space stops have come in pretty sharply here. Broadcom's still hanging in there. That's up 1.65%. AVGO showing some strength still. Natural gas still trying to break out. It's up 2.13%. Gold, silver still weak. Crude oil still weak. All indices are now negative. Healthcare is trying to hold. TTD moving to the top side. BlackBerry down. Lululemon having a great session. Another down day for MongoDB. BTC also breaking down pretty sharply here. Semis are still under quite a bit of sell side pressure here. Micron still green, but coming in sharply. Intel's draining hard here. It's tough for SPY to stay green with this type of heavy sell side pressure. Financials are also getting rocked here, guys. JP Morgan down 2.6. This looks like a nasty sell day in the indices. SPY remarkably is still holding up quite well here. Markets are still showing some heavy sell side pressure, minus your staples sector and certain consumer discretionary stocks. Quantum also starting to rock and roll to the downside. Certain components of software are still holding quite steady. Nvidia drilling hard. IGV still trying to bounce. Microsoft trying to bounce. Intel coming in sharply. AMD coming in. Trimmed half of my Nokia puts that we swung yesterday for 97%. Half of my Nokia put stop is at break even. All right, markets are getting a little bit of a bounce here. Natural gas still moving. Starting to see quite a bit more selling hitting your mags. Apple, Amazon, Tesla still green. Healthcare, consumer discretionary still holding. TME's gone green. Nice buy program there. Good to see. Still seeing semis rolling pretty hard here, guys. Tesla looks like it could also start to roll over to the downside. Still holding strong for now. SoFi making a nice move. Good to see. SMG, Scott's Miracle Grow, making a nice move. Yeah, Micron's almost negative here, guys. Almost. Software, there's still some components in software trying to push higher here, guys. Snapchat making a nice potential breakout intraday. Hourly chart looks pretty solid. If it can clear that, what is that, 590 pivot, 589. Interesting. Western Digital still green. Natural gas still looks pretty solid. TTD making a nice move today. Trade desk trying to break out of all the key daily chart moving averages. Interesting. TTD. SMCI is still hanging in there. So SPY's sitting right on that opening range low. We'll see if it wants to see any more downside. PayPal's still green. Interesting. Big bounce on AMD. TME's continuing to squeeze. That looks solid. Big bounce on Micron. Big bounce on Micron, semis, whole market. This is technically where SPY should get rejected if it's going to fall down. This is where SPY should get rejected, guys. Not a bad area to short. Natural gas still shaking and moving. Into some Ford 1550 puts. Still think the whole market's a short today. Stop on Ford's probably going to be about, I don't know, 14 cents. Yeah, I'll keep a 14-cent stop. Semis are still pretty weak, guys. I think they're going to drag this S&P down here. SOX is only down 0.86%, so they could still drop quite a bit here. Not a bad idea to pick on shorting some of these semis as well. AMD underneath its pre-market low, underneath 500 psychological number. Starting to see a little bit more downside pressure. Intel getting a decent bounce here. SPY still holding quite steady here. Lots of capital is rotating in this tape here. Natural gas still looks strong. Gold, silver weak. IWM is green while QQQ is leading the chart to the downside. Nokia got a big bounce. Quantum still looks pretty weak. Market may get rejected here, guys. Again, I am in this forward short. We'll see if it's shorting a strong stock, but I think it'll come in here if the market starts to come in. Plug Power still seeing some strength. TTGT, nice move. Staples are still holding steady. A little bit of selling hitting your semis while SPY is still trying. Ford is still shaking and moving to the top side. Forgot this new high at day, baby. Let's go. Squeeze nat gas, guys. Squeeze it. It's looking solid. Natural gas looking really spicy. Still seeing some accumulation in some of these software names. Lots of software getting a bit of a bid. IGV back above its 7-day into a long zone. Microsoft still lagging, but IGV bouncing fiercely. So you're still seeing semis getting sort of rejected here. Tesla big bounce with the market. Sheesh. Market's still acting quite resilient here. Um, Intel still trying to bounce back to pre-market low. Marvell still slightly down. Big level for SPY, retesting opening range high. Semis are once again seeing more sell side pressure. Micron still holding green above 900. SOXX still pretty weak on the session. Coming in, looks like it wants to retest the low. SPY still holding steady. QQQ is negative while IW and SPY are green. Sheesh, Ford is starting to squeeze here. Micron still trying to push higher, still up about 4% on the session. Pretty remarkable price action still in your S&P 500, holding quite steady. Still have this potential head and shoulders on SPY. If we don't break out here, the head and shoulders is still intact. But if you break out, then SPY could easily retest that pre-market high. But it's going to be tough for SPY to break out here with semis starting to rock and starting to sell here. But the S&P is still getting some buy-side pressure from your staples, from your healthcare. It's just your tech basket is lagging. So it's not a broad-based sell-off just yet. But SPY puts off this area, guys. I'm going to jump into 744.0 DTE SPY puts, 744.0 DTE SPY puts. High risk, size appropriately. Semis are starting to roll again to the downside. So AMD still showing quite a bit of weakness right now. Micron still trying to hold steady. Nvidia down 1.8%. Google still strong. Apple still strong. Amazon, Tesla still strong. SOX coming in a little bit sharper now, down 1.36%. Nice decline in your socks. Socks looks like it's going for a new low of day. Micron starting to sell. Potential H pattern on Micron intraday chart. Natural gas seeing a little bit of sell side pressure off pre-market high. Still up 2.26%. Crude oil down 3.8. You got your yield soft. Gold, silver still weak. Bitcoin under 75K looking nasty. AMD starting to roll a little bit heavier here. Same thing with Micron. Micron rolling heavier here. Now Nvidia is down over 2% on the tape. SOXX is still melting a little bit lower here. So the market's still holding resiliency here. SPY, IWM still green. SPY's flat, Q's down 1/4%. You still got strength in Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Tesla. Tesla seeing a little bit of a fade off the 440 area. It's still up 1.13%. IGV is still trying to claw itself back, guys. IGV is almost green. Microsoft trying to also claw itself back here. So software getting a nice rotationary bid. A whole bunch of software names do report after hours, along with Marvell. So we'll see how those names shake up. Micron still struggling here, looking like it wants to fall to the gap. It's trying to defend its prior day high, but still struggling. Sheesh, some of these automakers, GM, Ford, are still holding steady. Service now is just moving. Nike's still having a strong session. SoFi ripping. Snapchat having a good day. Lululemon just soaring and roaring today. That's up over 5.8%. So consumer discretionary, loving life today. Nice rotation out of semis into consumer discretionary. Plug Power still trying to clear the $4 area. SPY still hanging in there. SPY still holding quite well, guys. Looks like it's trying to break out here. Pretty remarkable. So once again, we're seeing not a broad-based sell-off. It's just simply capital rotating. That's why the indices are holding steady. And it's healthy to see the broadening out again. Obviously, we all know semis are extended beyond belief. Even with today's small sell-off, semis are still super, super saturated across the market. So you can see that the liquidity coming out today is definitely rotating into a lot of other names. IWM is still green, SPY is still green, QQQ slightly red, Nvidia down 2, Microsoft down 0.6, but trying to come back with the software sector. IGV is almost into its gap fill. Pretty remarkable push in IGV. Anyone swinging anything in CRM earnings after hours? We'll see what happens there. AMD still looking heavy here, potential H pattern. Micron still looking heavy, potential H pattern. AVGO has just melted to the dark side. New lows of day for AVGO Broadcom. Intel still putting in what appears to be a potential bear flag. SYXX looks like it wants to test the lows of the session. Here comes Micron. Micron now falling a little bit faster. Same thing with AMD. Ford is starting to come in slightly. SOX is still coming in. All right, pretty hard rejection there for SPY, guys. This is where you may see a rotation down for everything. SOXX. Looks like SOXX may want to target this gap. Obviously, prior day low is a big area, but if you lose prior day low on SOX, you got that mat. There's really no support. And that's the thing about this sell-off in semis, right? Obviously, they're still holding higher highs, higher lows, but really there's been minimal consolidation. No support has been established in this ETF. Tesla's starting to come in as well. Seeing some of the leading stocks selling off slightly. We'll see if it puts any sort of downside pressure on SPY. Micron going for new lows. AMD looks like it's going for new lows. Stocks new lows. Tesla also about to lose its opening range low area. Or sorry, not its opening, its low of day. Stocks is look or Tesla's looking heavy here. Stocks is still melting a little bit lower. Stocks is continuing to soften up here, melting pretty quickly here. SPY starting to roll a little bit heavier. IGV still trying to push for that gap fill. Very close to going green. Microsoft getting a big buy program as well. Looking like it wants to go green simultaneously. You still have strength in your staples. ServiceNow's ripping. SoFi, nice move. Micron's still green. TTD making a big move intraday. Ketchup, Kraft Heinz Ketchup, KHC, that's making a nice intraday move. Lululemon now up 6.67%. Starbucks turning green. BTC still pretty weak here. Natural gas still holding positive structure. Here comes SPY melting a little bit lower here. And again, we haven't seen a broad-based sell-off in the market for quite some time. There's always been one or two sectors of the market holding strength while other sectors sell. So today we're seeing obviously semi sell, but consumer staples and software names, independent names are trying to catch a bid. But we have not seen a broad-based sell-off for quite some time where you look across all the sectors and everything is just a bloodbath and red. So maybe it's today. We certainly have a lot of time, but for now things are still rotating. SOX is just melting here, guys. AMD new low of day. Micron still just capitulating here. Tesla almost looking like it wants to go negative. Micron going for that gap fill now under 900, about to go negative on the session. McDonald's still holding steady. Constellation Brands still holding steady. Healthcare still holding steady. SOXX now down about 2.9%. Again, not much support has been established. Nokia continuing to drill, almost down 5%. I like it. IONQ selling pretty sharply. Marvell still coming in. ServiceNow holding steady. Micron looking like it wants to go negative. All right, Micron just went negative, guys. The heaviest weighting in stocks just rolled over. Natural gas going for another new high a day. It's up 2.42%. IGV still wants to. Microsoft is almost green, guys. IGV is almost green, and Microsoft's almost green. So software's still catching a nice rotationary bid. That's one nasty bearish tombstone reversal forming on SOX. Potential weekly topping tail building as well. SPY's still holding remarkably, barely down. QQQ drilling. SPY still holding steady. IWM still holding steady, slightly negative. We'll see. You know what though? Just be careful because they got Marvell earnings after hours. And Marvell's a pretty big weighting still in stocks. Does look like we've topped out a little bit, but they could easily retrace a big lion's share of this move if they pump Marvell after hours. Or I think Marvell's the fifth biggest in stocks. It still holds a sizable weighting. So, but yeah, it does look like it's getting finally some decent sell side pressure. And usually you get that first wave down, intraday consolidation, likely there's going to be a bounce, and then a second wave down maybe in the afternoon. But the S&P is still holding steady here, which is going to instill a little bit of confidence still in the market, right? It's not a broad-based sell-off. Which is still kind of surprising right now. Tesla still up 1%, basically. Meta up half. Amazon still ripping. Apple still strong. Google still strong. Nvidia's still looking weak, testing 210. Nvidia downside is around to 200. If they could play that out today. That would be a wild move on Nvidia, but that Head and Shoulders is just shy of 200 bucks. Natural gas still looks like it wants to go higher. I like it. Natural gas 7-day moving average at 310, so a couple more bucks to the upside. Gold and silver have stabilized a little bit. Still weak on the session. Nike's still ripping. Lululemon's still super duper strong. AMD still struggling immensely. SPY still hasn't really triggered this bearish pattern yet. Pretty hard selling. Once again, crude oil and natural gas are trying to spike again. Stocks new lows. Micron new lows. Nvidia is still draining here pretty sharply. Plug power still trying to push a little bit higher. Semis are trying to stabilize off that prior day low. SPY still remarkably strong. They almost tried breaking it down on that Newswick, but holding steady. Natural gas, guys, still squeezing. SPY just doesn't want to go down. Holding flat. IWM still green. Rocket Labs looks like it's getting toppy here as well in anticipation of SPCX IPO. Lululemon's still ripping. So IGV is green, guys. Software doing some heavy lifting today. IGV turns green. Interesting. XLF still holding green despite JP Morgan down 1.5%, but JPM is well off of its lows. Microsoft still trying to go green. CRM up 2.3. So still showing some strength. Amazon still green. Netflix is trying to make a bit of an intraday push. Bitcoin trying to recapture 75K. Micron, AMD catching a little bit of a bounce. IGV starting to push even more, guys. Up 0.25% here intraday. Microsoft also about to go green. Joining the fun. SPY still acting pretty resilient. S&P and Russell are still green. QQQ trying to bounce back with a little bit of buy-side pressure in semis. Nvidia is still draining things. Intel, AMD still weak. Micron back to the green side. Plug Power looking squeezy again. Up 2.86%. Trying to make a move. Pre-market high. Plug power, guys, crossing $4, looking squeezy. PLUG starting to try to make a push here intraday. Beast. Ford still holding steady. You see a little bit of those staple stocks starting to give up some of their gains. That's a bit of a problem. If you're seeing IGV back to the negative side, so that's a problem because the relative strength plays are what's keeping SPY elevated here. So SPY could start to roll here if some of these strong sectors give up their gains. Nvidia is still pretty weak, sub 210. Tesla is still super duper strong, trying to go for another high of day. Plug power continuing to try to break out here, guys. Plug has got a 4 hour and hourly chart inverted head and shoulders that is triggering right now and could send it to roughly about 480, 490 on the chart. It's looking spicy. PLUG looking spicy. SOX is getting that bounce. IGV still trying to bounce. Micron back up 1.8%. Nvidia still struggling. AAOI might finally rip here. Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, looking pretty good, like it wants to break out. Yeah, AAOI does look pretty decent if it stays above that 7 day. It's a tricky chart because you are getting that bearish 7 and 20 cross. So a rejection here would be nasty for AOI. But if you stay above that 7 day, then yeah, this thing could rip. But if it starts to lose it again, you want to get out of that name. Yeah, it's not looking bad. Crude oil still trying to push a little bit higher. Natural gas seeing a small pullback. S&P flat, IWM flat, Qs are down 0.25%. IGV starting to get rejected off that gap fill, guys. Again, that's not a positive sign. Sopper was trying to hold. Let's look at Marvell here. Marvell's still trying to hold that hourly chart support. Crude oil just doing a good old-fashioned float and grind. Still down 2.76%, going for pre-market high. APPS moving up, 47%. Yeah, looking good. SoFi pulling back slightly. Let's look at Hood. Hood still looking decent intraday. Plug power though, guys. Look at Plug. It's squeezing, man. This is almost a breakout on Plug, guys. Intraday. Nice inverted head and shoulders. And Plug likes to complete its moves quickly. Very quickly. Natural gas still looking strong. All right, so all indices are negative now. RDW still up 6.4. SoFi still up 3.3. Open Door seeing a nice move today. That's up 10.9. Ondas is green as well. Pretty big level here for SPY, guys. Could see a pretty decent sell here. SPY, if we lose this opening level again. They keep defending it. Look how much they defended yesterday, this area. But they could start to melt us here. We're still due for a decent sell. Nvidia is still down 2.6%. IGV again, guys, seeing some sell side pressure. Still holding up a little bit better than most. So far we've got materials, XLB green, communications are green, financials are red, energy is red, industrials red, XLK is lagging today, down 0.95, staples are up 1.5, real estate is up 0.3, utilities are down 0.7, healthcare is still green, up 0.64, and consumer discretionary up 1.85, and retail, love and life. IGV is just cursed. Set its pre-market high. SOX does look like it's going for another new low of the day. You're seeing Micron forming that H pattern again, AMD curling to the downside, Nvidia keeps selling here. SOX is still pretty weak here. AMD curling back down. Tesla's potential failed double top intraday on Tesla, guys. Tesla looks like it still wants to melt down to that gap fill. IGV getting a little bit more sell side pressure. Your US dollar also just turned green, guys, on the session. So the Dixie had a big 10-minute pop there over the last couple candles. So it's now green. It's forcing gold and silver to see a bit more sell side pressure. Plug Power still trying to break out here. Looking squeezy. All indices are still red. PLUG crossing that $4 area. IGV, guys, seeing pretty decent selling again, down 0.5% now. Microsoft getting rejected off of its gap fill. Still got SPY holding like a champ. AMD Micron still look nasty. Intel still looks nasty. JP Morgan looks nasty. Nokia looks nasty. Crude oil still trying, guys. I'm still in my Ford short. Ticker F Ford, but it's been a tough SOB. Still holding SPY, but SPY hasn't really done much. Crude oil is still trying to grind here. Nat gas still trying to grind higher. Google, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Tesla still showing their strength. It's officially taps its pre-market high. Still giving us higher highs. IWM still green. It's crazy. Plug Power, guys, squeezing. PLUG starting to squeeze. Just getting spicy. Don't mind if that squeezes. Go plug go. Plug go. It is breaking out here, guys. PLUG up 8.33%, getting very squeezy here, guys. Very squeezy. AMD and Micron is starting to see a bit more sell side pressure. Protect longs, guys. SPY looks heavy here. Protect your longs. Natural gas, big spike, guys. Big spike on natural gas. Beautiful. Look at that move on natural gas. Our Boyle trade is ripping here. Beautiful. Natural gas just made a nice spike intraday, guys. We just went long nat gas yesterday in the swing trading group via Boyle, and that's working out quite nicely. Micron still looks super heavy here, looking like it's going to take out the lows. Nvidia is still down 2.5%. Plug power still trying to squeeze. IGV still melting a little bit lower here. Micron going for new lows. Oops. Just in my stop on all my plug calls. Stops are at break even on all my plug calls. The July and September calls. Stops at break even. Number trade. Do not want to let that go against us since we're in profit. So got stocks is melting even more now. Raised a bunch of stops on long positions just in case we have a pretty big sell here. The market is setting up for a potential big sell. I raised stops on uranium, I raised stops on plug calls. We did cut one position on the long side, so just protect your longs, triage here, because this market is due for a pretty big sell. And you had that relative strength creep back into IGV briefly, but now it's starting to roll over. So if we start to see staples and other leaders start to roll, this we could get a broad-based sell-off. S&P still holding up pretty resiliently. You still have strength in Apple, Google, Meta, Tesla, Amazon, but just do triage on your positions if you're long, because we could see quite a bit more sell-side pressure. What's that doing there? Sheesh. Sheesh. Falcon 4 just made a big move. Plug is still looking squeezy, up 8.2%. Bitcoin making a little bit of a push. Fucking Ford, eh? Jeez, that thing's a beast today. Healthcare's still moving. Service now is still strong. Go plug go. Go plug go. It's new high a day, up 3.45%. So markets are still acting quite well. Seeing some sell side pressure. That's helping our S&P 500. A little bit of a bullish wedge trying to form on SPY. We'll see if it wants to push to the top of the wedge. IGV's made a little bit of a bounce intraday. Stocks are still defending that prior day low. SoFi still acting quite well. Plug Power still looking squeezy. Come on, Plug. Give us a new high. QQQ still looking heavy here, guys, down 0.5%. Nvidia still struggling. Apple starting to come in a little bit. Google giving up some gains. Same thing with Tesla. Meta is giving up some gains. Amazon still super duper strong. Percent. So natural gas is trying to pierce its 7-day moving average. Push reversal on TME, guys. Look at 10-cent music. This one's still trying to break out intraday, looking pretty solid. The rest of the China complex is coming back as well. BABA seeing a little bit of rejection. PDD obviously still pretty heavy. Let's look at JD here. That's coming in still. A flag setup in socks. Yeah, there's a good chance, Kevin, that socks is topping today. It's looking pretty heavy. Nice breakdown in SPY. Looking real heavy again. Still sitting in these 744 SPY puts as well. Seeing Google and Apple, seeing a bit of sell side pressure as well. SPY's drilling here, guys. Puts are waking up nicely. You do have NVIDIA trying to firm up off the lows here, getting a little bit of a buy program, so that could help the indices here a little bit. But we are seeing software breaking down again. Microsoft looking heavy. SOX is still putting in a bit of a bear flag. SPX defending that prior day low for the time being. QQQ, despite its down more on the session today, it hasn't even tapped its prior day low yet. You can see SPY just tapped its prior day low with that sell-off, but QQQ is still holding above it. So that's kind of interesting. Very interesting for sure. SOX is still looking pretty bearish underneath its prior day low. Pick up some common shares in this name, ASTC. Very, very risky, but I'm going to pick up some commons. It's going to be a small position size. I'm looking at this 1550 entry. It's just going to be a small size. That's what I'm looking for, a pullback. Size appropriately, guys, if you're going to play. It's a high risk one. $15.50, I'll take a position. It's going to be small size. Looking for a squeeze play. Probably only pick up, like, I don't know, 50 shares. It's going to be small. Natural gas still grinding higher. SPY still seeing a buy program defending prior day low, acting quite well. Please, STC guys, just understand, super risky, volatile. Semis are catching a little bit of a bid off of their prior day low. Nice. All right, so I got a half a position fill there, guys. I only got filled on 25 shares. So I'll pick up another 25 if if it goes sub 15. But I'm long this ASTC, just common shares. I don't know why it didn't get me a full position. I only got a half a fill. It's fucking small though. Fuck, man, that's like barely anything. That's barely anything. Can't believe they didn't give me more. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock tries to be up 1,000% today. Just the nature of how we've been squeezing lately. I'm gonna lower that entry to about 1485. Natural gas, new high a day. Break even stop loss on this ASTC 1550 break even stop. And if it stops me out, I'll look to re-enter a little bit lower. But break even stop. I'll lower this down here. Yeah, 14. What's the high of this candle? 1438. S&P defending that prior day low, still pretty remarkable, barely a sell. Natural gas just spiked up 4%, guys. Our oil position is starting to rip here. Look at that. EOIL. Beautiful. Natural gas is shaking and moving today. Look at that W formation on that gas. Beautiful breakout. I like it. All right, I'm getting ready to call the stream to an end here, guys. So far, markets are defending key support levels and acting quite well. Plug power going for another new high a day. Still looking squeezy. Big bounce in your semis.